Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Um, I want to talk about some of the drier aspects of role-playing games, probability, math, and maybe see if I can spice it up a little bit. I was not good with math in school. Far from it. Hated showing my work. Didn't understand why I had to do it back then. Did not get along well with most of my math teachers because it was mostly flowing over my head. Later find out you've got dyscalculia and numbers don't work the same way in your head as they do for most people. And you've got to find ways around that, which eventually I did. My way around it was Dungeons and Dragons. Eventually other role-playing games. It was D&D where I was first able to really dig into what the numbers were and how to manipulate them as I went through. GURPS was just kind of amazing for me because that's where the probabilities really started to sink in. And I started to understand the differences between the dice systems. Why D&D's dice system seemed very punishing and GURPS system seemed very smooth, flowing, and even comforting to a certain degree. And I learned that dice systems matter. These are percentile dice. I talked about all the dice and what they do. And it is perhaps easiest to work out the probability of what you're doing in a way that is meaningful to most people. Using percentile dice. One 10-sided dice delineated in tens, and one 10-sided dice delineated in ones, so that these generate any number from 100 or double aught to 1 or 001. What is my chance of doing something? Well, I got about a 30% chance of doing that. We can visualize a 30% chance to do something. You can almost see the pie chart with just under a third of it blocked out as my chance to succeed. And we understand that's not a great chance to do something. And there are percentile systems. There are systems that Call of Cthulhu system, comes to mind. MERP, I believe, uses percentile, where it's just flat out, here's your percentage to get this done. Roll percentile, get under that number, and you have succeeded because that is your percent chance of success. Awesome. Very few systems these days use percentile, which is a pity because I like percentile just for that ease of understanding your numbers. This is a D20. A 20-sided figure delineated in 1 through 20, and it is almost as easy to figure out your probability of success on this once you know what number you need to hit, because you just multiply by 5. 20 times 5 is 100, so this is your probabilities in fives. I need to hit a 7 on this, a 7 or higher, meaning there's only 6 numbers under that are a failure, or 6 times 5. I've got a 70% chance to succeed because there's a 30% chance I will fail. That's not bad. I'll take that chance. Generally, anything better than a 50-50 I'll take when it's really desperate. Now, both the percentile dice and the 20-sider have the same common issue, and that is a flatline distribution. No single number on those dice has a greater chance of showing up than any other single number on those dice. I roll that 20-sided die, the chance of it being a 1 or a 20 or a 7 or a 12 are all exactly the same if the dice is properly random, which this is my 2-pound assortment from Ducati or from Zuccotti Dice. Hashtag not sponsored, but this is I wanted 2 pounds of dice to dig my hands into. And they're really, really good dice. Just saying. And that straight line distribution means, while I can know what my percentage chance is, that doesn't mean I'm going to come within that range. That means if the greater the percentage chance, the greater the chance I'll hit that, but there is always that chance I'm just not going to hit it because completely random. These are well-balanced dice. They're pretty damn random. I mentioned GURPS as one that really helped me work out a certain number of differences. So I can find another one. GURPS uses 3 6-sided dice. And you're trying to get a number between 3 and 18, like rolling up a character in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, like that roll, 3d6 is not a straight line distribution. Your chances of rolling a 3 and your chances of rolling an 18 are exactly the same, about 3%, because only one face on each of these dice can contribute to those numbers. I need 3 1s to get a 3. I need 3 6s to get an 18. So the chance of one of these, of all of these dice showing up with that same face, 1 in 6 to the power of 3. It's not a great chance. 6 times 6, 3,600 and something. This is where the math breaks down to me, but I know it's about 3% just from repetition, looking at charts. The chance, however, of this showing up somewhere between 7 and 12, really close to, say, 10, pretty good. And that is because there are many combinations on these dice that add up to those numbers. I can get, I want to say 30 to 40% that I'm going to get a number in that range. Why that works so well is that I can be comfortable I'm going to hit a mid-range with these dice. I'm not always going to hit a mid-range. I might be high. I might be low. That's the whole point of rolling up a character in D&D. And why a lot of game masters, dungeon masters, will have tweaks to a straight 3 die 6 for rolling up your character. Roll 3 die 6, but roll 4 die 6 and take the best 3. Or roll 3 die 6, but re-roll 1s. Or re-roll 1s and 2s to tweak that probability and get your numbers a little bit higher. Because if you're just going straight 3 die 6, you're going to average 10, which is a perfectly average statistic. And there's nothing wrong with having 10 statistics, but character classes in Dungeons and Dragons, especially 5th edition, have requirements for their attributes that you might need to have a 13 or 14 in there just to qualify for the class. To get the bonuses that you want to make the class perform properly, you're going to want to have a 16 or a 17 or at least one 18 in that, and you want to shore up the chances of getting those very rare but very possible numbers. In GURPS, you're getting a skill level for the skills or things you want to accomplish that are somewhere between usually 8 and 18. 18 being a really amazing skill because you roll 3 die 6 and you try and get under your skill level. So the higher your skill, the greater the chance that that comfortable skill level you've got is going to get within that range. So I can have a skill of 12 or 13. Okay, I'll hit that pretty often. If I get a 13 or a 14, it's not all assured. I've rolled plenty of 15s and GURPS. But, chances are. Why is that important? There is a sense that you will get when you are playing a character in a role-playing game. And that sense is, or should be, how likely is it that my character can succeed at this action? Quick tangent. For the longest time, there was this meme going around social media where you would show this performance that someone did on a variety show, or someone doing some incredible act, like playing a trumpet while they're juggling, or doing this incredible act of balancing feathers and sticks and bones, and or some feat of acrobatics that performed before a live audience, and saying, "This is what happens when you roll a 20." And at one point, I just had to say, no, this is not rolling a 20. Nobody goes in front of an audience to do a feat that they're only going to succeed at 5% of the time. You do not go and routinely do a show with something that requires you to critically succeed. No, that is a high stat and or a high skill, and probably both. That is someone who has done that so much, who is so talented at it and or so practiced at it that they can reliably perform that skill, that they have a very good sense, they are competent at it, and they can replicate this act a fairly good number of times on a predictable level. That is what a high stat plus high proficiency in Dungeons and Dragons does. That is what a high skill level in GURPS does. That is a high level of performance, and knowing your dice mechanics and knowing how that distribution works for you. Knowing how to hedge your success. In D&D, if I want that level of competence, and I very often do, I really like characters that can get that predictable performance. I want a rogue, I want a bard, because they get expertise. They get a lot of different skill proficiencies. Bards get jack of all trades, which is an amazing feature that just gives anything they're not proficient in, they still have at least a point of bonus in. And they get expertise as a feature, which allows them to double their proficiency bonus on a couple of skills, more as their levels go up. So they get that high rank in the skill, that high bonus to their D20 roll, which equates to a better chance of hitting their target number. I have had players with who had characters with skills that their bonus was so high, they almost didn't have to roll the dice. The difficulty class for the action they were taking was lower than their bonus to roll that number. I'll still have them roll because you might get that 20 and it would be an amazing success. I don't care what the rules say. A 20 is a 20 and a crit is a crit. They might also get that 1. And, there's just a 5% chance that it's not going to go right. Even people with predictable levels of performance sometimes screw up. Is it important to understand these dice mechanics? Not for a player, not really. It's handy. It's good. It's good to understand what your odds are, to be able to work out on the fly. Well, my difficulty number is that. This is where my skill is at. This is what my odds are of getting it successful on this die. Because there are feats and features in Dungeons and Dragons that lets you modify the roll. Can someone give me a bardic inspiration? Can I do something to get advantage on this roll? Or can I do something to get rid of the disadvantage on this roll? Can I shore up my roll a bit? And a lot of systems have something like that. You could take certain advantages in GURPS that would let you re-roll a couple of times. Luck. So good, so easily abused. The victory system has the risk mechanic, so I can get re-rolls or bonuses by burning my risk points. And so it is important to know that vital, you can get by without it. If there's one person at the table who knows it, basically everyone's going to get the benefit of that knowledge, because that person will invariably start sharing that knowledge, even if it's the dungeon master. Sometimes, like, you've got a chance to do this. It's not great, but it's also how I gauge certain things about role-playing systems, rules and mechanics. Can I predictably get a success? If I get my skill high enough, if I get my, if my stats, if I'm naturally talented and or skilled in this area, can I predictably hit a success? Because the answer really ought to be yes. It's realistic that individuals who have talent and or skill, who've practiced these things ad nauseum, who have put in the time and the effort to be able to do them, can do them. We don't train at our advocations so that we have the same chance of success as someone who hasn't. I hate to call a system out, but I've called it out before. My Fantasy Heartbreaker Cthulhu Tech. I love the setting. I hate some of the writing in the setting. I detest some of the background design for being derivative, and the system. The system is one of those, is a role-playing game system, is a dice mechanic, where I could never work out my probability of success, because they made your success mechanic so complicated that your skill level and natural talent might not even matter. D10, 10-sided dice delineated 1 to 10. And your stat plus skill gives you a number of D10s. If you are unskilled at something, you're lucky to re-roll 1 or 2 of them. But if you are very skilled, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe even 7. You could get a bunch of D10s in there with some benefits and taking extra time or using auto fire. You can get up to 10 D10 there. Awesome. And how do I determine whether those 10-sided dice, the rolls on them, are a success? Well, in other systems that use dice pools like that, World of Darkness comes to mind, you're trying to hit a target number on each dice. Let's see how many 6s you roll, and that's how many successes you get, or how many levels of success you get. Let's see if you can hit 7 or better, and that'll tell you how the quality of success, or if you hit none of them, how bad you botch. Not in Cthulhu Tech. No, not for a moment. No, you are rolling the dice trying to get pairs or better, or straights. You're rolling for poker hands, basically. Or your highest die, I rolled an 8, but I also rolled 4 2s, but that's also an 8. So I can go either way. If I rolled 5 2s, I could I'll add all that together, and that could be a 10, and that's better than my 8. Or I rolled 2 3 4 5, which is 5 9 14, which is way better than my 8. So working out the possibility of getting those based on how many dice you start with. Well, I'm not going to get many straights if I've only got 2 dice. If I got 3 dice, I might get a straight. What are the odds of that? I don't ask me. It's you can kind of work it out with cards because you've only got 52. So that and there's a set number of those numbers in there. Um, and that's a diminishing number no matter how many you get. If I draw 1 3, I can only draw 3 more. When it comes to dice, it is too hard to calculate your odds of getting a high pair or a run, a straight, uh, to be able to reliably know. I mean, I'm going to, and the thing of it is, I like dice systems. I like working out probabilities. I enjoy this. I have 2 pounds of random number generators in my lap right now, and this is not the only time during the week I'm going to have 2 pounds of random number generators in my lap. I love these and what they do and what you can do with them. That's me. You get something like that dice system from Cthulhu Tech, and half the people are going to be going, I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to roll my dice. And the other half of the people are going to roll their dice and say, what did I get? Because ain't no one got time to learn dragon poker to play dice, to play a role-playing game. That is a game in and of itself. And as a mini game, sure, that's fine. As your main dice mechanic, you can't do that. It needs to be tight and tidy, and a player needs to be able to look at it and go, oh, I can make that run. I can make that jump. I can probably hit that from here. As opposed to, I'm going to throw my dice and pray. Because that's not how things work. Or at least in my head and the head of most of the people that I played that particular game with, that's not how it works. You can rely on your abilities quite often. And the better the ability, the more often. So, do I have a favorite system? Do I have a favorite distribution or way of doing things? What I like at the moment, the victory system is based on this, to some degree, Dungeons and Dragons at the moment. I like a single die, the D20 being a very good one. It's got the predictable 5, and multiply it by 5, you've got your percentage chance. But because it's a straight line distribution, I also like having a few simple mechanics in the game to modify your odds. Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition introduced advantage and disadvantage, a mechanic so simple it makes me a little sick every time I hear about it because I didn't think of it first. Where for advantage, you roll 2 dice and take the best roll. For disadvantage, you roll 2 dice and take the worst roll. So you are either doubling your chances of success with advantage or having your chances of success with disadvantage. Nice and simple. And Victory has the risk system. So I really need a success. I'm going to burn a personal resource to make sure I get a success here, or at least vastly increase my chances of succeeding at this task. So a modified flatline distribution using a single dice, using mechanics to enhance your probability of success, or in some cases, failure. At least that's my preference, but that's me. But it's only because I know about how the dice work and what the probability systems are that allows me to have a preference at all. I've played a lot of games. I have messed with a lot of. I have a pile of examples to pull from to think of things that did and did not work. So, and you can tell what my preferences are by the one I put out there and use. I need to run some more victory. That should probably happen soon. You know, I think next week or a week after that, I'm going to put a victory system, a victory campaign together. Hopefully, one that I will run at some point in time, because it's about time I ran another victory game. I'm not sure who I would run it for or what it would be, but yeah, I think I need to run a game in victory now that I'm thinking about my dice mechanics and how much I miss using them. Well, thank you very much for following me along with this particular rant. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you have questions for me, comments, things you'd like to hear me talk about, things you'd like to hear me explain better, go ahead and leave me a comment below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do, hit the little notification bell so that you're alerted when my videos become available. If you'd like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. It allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is What Does Matter to Me, and I'll see you next time with the next Matters of Decorum.